An older woman and a younger man walk into a room, and before they even speak, society has already judged them guilty. But Stoic philosophy asks a far more dangerous question. Who is actually wrong here? People feel uncomfortable when they see an older woman with a younger man, not because something is wrong, but because it forces them to question ideas they never examined. They call it attraction, they call it a phase, they call it confusion. But what they are really protecting is their habit of judging without thinking. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, believed that most people live inside borrowed opinions, not their own reason, and age gap relationships expose this weakness clearly. Before asking whether it is love or just attraction, we must first understand why this question even exists. If two adults choose each other with clarity and honesty, why does age suddenly become the center of the conversation? The Stoic answer is simple: because society fears anything that challenges its invisible rules. Marcus Aurelius wrote that human beings suffer more from their imagination than from reality itself. An older woman and a younger man are just two people, yet the imagination of others turns them into a scandal, a joke, or a warning story. The ages themselves are neutral facts, but the stories attached to them are emotional, irrational, and often cruel. Stoicism teaches us to separate facts from judgments. The fact is age. The judgment is that something must be wrong. When you remove the judgment, the problem disappears. This is why Stoics were trained to pause before reacting, to ask, is this truly bad? Or do I just think it is bad because I was taught to think so? Most people never ask this question, and that is why they confuse attraction with love without understanding either. Attraction is immediate. It pulls without asking permission. It lives in the body, in desire, in fantasy. Love, on the other hand, is built slowly through choice, effort, and shared values. Marcus Aurelius did not trust impulses blindly, even pleasant ones. He warned himself daily that pleasure can mislead the mind if it is not examined. This does not mean attraction is wrong. It means attraction alone is not enough. An older woman may feel attraction to a younger man, just as a younger man may feel drawn to her presence, her confidence, her calm. But Stoicism asks a deeper question. What happens after the attraction fades? What remains when excitement becomes routine? This is where love reveals itself. People often assume that an older woman wants youth and validation, and that a younger man wants guidance or comfort. These assumptions say more about the observer than about the couple. Marcus Aurelius believed that when we rush to explain others, we are often hiding from understanding ourselves. Why does it bother people so much to see a woman aging with confidence rather than fear? Why does it disturb them to see a younger man choosing depth over approval? These reactions are not moral judgments. They are emotional reflexes. Stoicism teaches that reflexes are not truth. Truth requires discipline. Love, in the Stoic sense, is not about possession. It is about partnership in virtue. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that we are social beings, designed to cooperate, support, and improve each other. A relationship is good not because it feels good, but because it makes both people better. This applies to all relationships, regardless of age. An older woman and a younger man are not automatically wise or foolish together. What matters is whether they bring out patience instead of insecurity, honesty instead of manipulation, growth instead of stagnation. Attraction alone cannot sustain this. Attraction wants to take. Love wants to build. Another reason society struggles with this pairing is power. People assume age equals power, but Stoicism does not define power by age, money, or status. True power, according to Marcus Aurelius, is self-control. An older woman who has learned who she is may have emotional power, not dominance. A younger man who knows his values may have inner strength, not dependence. When two self-controlled individuals meet, power struggles reduce, not increase. Ironically, many same-age relationships fail because both people are still fighting their own insecurities. Age difference does not create imbalance by default. Lack of self-awareness does. Marcus Aurelius warned against living for appearances. He ruled an empire, yet reminded himself that applause fades and criticism is noise. Relationships judged by society often collapse under pressure, not because they are wrong, but because the people inside them begin to believe the outside voices. Stoicism teaches emotional independence. If a couple constantly needs approval, reassurance, or validation from others, then yes, the bond is weak. But if they can remain calm under judgment, then their connection is rooted in something deeper than attraction. There is also the question of time. People say, "It won't last." Marcus Aurelius would respond that nothing lasts. Life itself does not last. Stoicism does not measure value by duration but by quality. A relationship that lasts 10 years in resentment is not superior to one that lasts 3 years in honesty and growth. The fear of impermanence causes people to dismiss relationships before they even begin. But Stoicism teaches acceptance of change. Love does not promise eternity, it promises presence. Attraction fears the end. Love accepts it without panic. Older woman-younger man relationships also expose gender double standards. When an older man dates a younger woman, society often calls it success. When the roles reverse, it becomes suspicious. Marcus Aurelius believed that justice means applying the same standard to all cases. If age difference is acceptable in one direction, reason demands it be acceptable in the other. Anything else is tradition pretending to be morality. Stoicism challenges tradition when it conflicts with reason. The key difference between love and attraction is responsibility. Attraction avoids responsibility, love embraces it. A younger man who loves an older woman does not run from difficult conversations about future, growth, or difference in life stages. An older woman who loves a younger man does not manipulate his admiration or control his direction. They meet as equals in dignity, even if they differ in experience. Marcus Aurelius believed dignity comes from character, not from years lived. Stoicism also teaches emotional sobriety. Attraction intoxicates, love steadies. Ask simple questions. Is there calm in this relationship or constant drama? Is there respect during disagreement or silent punishment? Is there space to grow individually or fear of losing control? These answers reveal the truth more clearly than any number on a birth certificate. Love survives boredom, stress, and criticism. Attraction collapses when fantasy meets reality. Society wants simple labels because thinking is hard. Calling it just attraction allows people to feel superior without understanding. Marcus Aurelius warned against this false superiority. He reminded himself that every human acts according to what seems right to them. Instead of mocking or judging, the Stoic observes, "Observation brings clarity. Judgment brings blindness." An older woman and a younger man choosing each other is not a rebellion. It is a mirror. It reflects society's fear of aging, control, and non-conformity. It reflects how rarely people choose partners based on inner peace rather than social approval. Stoicism encourages choosing what aligns with nature and reason, not what earns applause. If a relationship is rooted in mutual respect, honesty, and growth, it stands on solid ground, regardless of age. This is why the real question is not, is it love or just attraction? But, are both people conscious of their intentions? Marcus Aurelius believed that an unexamined desire becomes a chain. An examined desire becomes a choice. When two people choose each other with awareness, attraction becomes a doorway, not the foundation. Love is built after walking through that doorway day by day, action by action. When we move from theory into real life, the difference between love and attraction becomes even clearer, because real life does not care about fantasy. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that reality is the ultimate teacher, and any belief that cannot survive daily life is an illusion. An older woman and a younger man may feel deeply connected at first, but Stoicism asks, how do they behave when routine replaces excitement? How do they treat each other when stress enters the relationship? Attraction performs well in perfect moments. Love is tested in ordinary days. One of the first real-life tests is emotional rhythm. People at different life stages often move at different speeds. The older woman may value calm evenings, meaningful conversations, and emotional stability, while the younger man may still be discovering his ambitions, identity, and direction. Society assumes this difference automatically creates conflict, but Marcus Aurelius would say that difference itself is neutral. Conflict arises only when people resist reality instead of working with it. Love adapts, attraction demands. If both partners respect each other's rhythm, the difference becomes balance rather than friction. Communication is another powerful test. Attraction avoids difficult conversations because it fears breaking the illusion. Love invites honesty, even when it is uncomfortable. A younger man who truly loves an older woman does not hide his doubts or future plans just to keep peace. An older woman who truly loves a younger man does not silence her needs to appear easygoing. Marcus Aurelius believed that truth spoken calmly is never an enemy. Suppressed truth, however, always becomes resentment. Many age gap relationships fail not because of age, but because both people pretend longer than they should. There is also the test of independence. Stoicism values inner freedom above all else. A relationship that turns into emotional dependence is not love, it is fear wearing a pleasant mask. An older woman should not become the emotional center of a younger man's identity, and a younger man should not become the proof of vitality for an older woman. Marcus Aurelius warned himself not to attach his happiness to anything he could lose. Love, in the Stoic sense, allows closeness without captivity. Two whole individuals walking together, not leaning on each other to stand. Daily behavior reveals truth more than words. How do they argue? Do they listen or try to win? Do they use age as a weapon, consciously or unconsciously? A younger man might dismiss wisdom as control, and an older woman might dismiss curiosity as immaturity. When this happens, attraction turns toxic. Love, however, does not compete for superiority. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is not to become like the one who wrongs you. In relationships, this means refusing to turn differences into weapons. Future planning is where illusions often collapse. Attraction lives in the present moment. Love considers tomorrow without fear. An older woman and a younger man must eventually talk about goals, lifestyle, priorities, and expectations, not as an argument, but as clarity. Stoicism teaches preparation, not anxiety. Avoiding the future does not make problems disappear, it makes them sharper later. Love respects time. Attraction tries to escape it. Society's pressure intensifies these challenges. Family opinions, social judgment, and subtle ridicule test emotional strength. Marcus Aurelius believed that external approval is outside our control and therefore not worth chasing. A couple that constantly reacts to outside noise will exhaust itself. Love requires a shared inner boundary. A quiet agreement that not every opinion deserves attention. Attraction seeks validation. Love is content with truth. Another important test is growth. People change. The younger man will evolve, and the older woman will too. Love allows transformation without fear of abandonment. Attraction wants the other person frozen in the version it fell for. Marcus Aurelius accepted change as the law of nature. Resisting change creates suffering. A relationship survives when both partners encourage growth, even when it shifts dynamics slightly. Jealousy also reveals the nature of the bond. Attraction is insecure, it constantly fears replacement. Love trusts character. An older woman secure in herself does not compete with younger women. A younger man grounded in his values does not chase external validation. Marcus Aurelius taught that self-worth comes from one's actions, not from comparison. Where jealousy dominates, attraction is in control. Even intimacy changes over time. Attraction focuses on intensity. Love focuses on connection. Physical desire may start the bond, but emotional safety sustains it. Stoicism does not reject pleasure, but it refuses to be ruled by it. When intimacy becomes a shared language rather than a performance, love is present. Ultimately, the Stoic measure of a relationship is peace. Does this connection add clarity or confusion? Does it simplify life or complicate it? Marcus Aurelius believed that a good life feels orderly, even in difficulty. A good relationship feels the same. Attraction creates highs and lows. Love creates steadiness. An older woman and a younger man can absolutely build real love, but only if both accept responsibility for self-awareness. Age difference magnifies unconscious behavior. It exposes insecurities faster. This is why such relationships fail loudly when they are shallow and succeed quietly when they are deep. Stoicism does not promise that love will be easy. It promises that clarity will be freeing. When both people are honest about who they are, what they want, and what they can give, attraction becomes a starting point, not a trap. Love then becomes a daily practice, chosen again and again, not because society approves, but because reason and virtue are aligned. By the time we reach the deeper layers of this question, it becomes clear that Marcus Aurelius would never ask whether a relationship fits society's expectations. He would ask whether it fits the inner order of the people involved. Stoicism is not interested in romance as fantasy. It is interested in character as destiny. An older woman and a younger man may stand at different points in time, but time itself is not the judge. The judge is conduct, how they act when no one is watching, how they respond when comfort is removed, how they remain human when desire is tested by reality. Marcus Aurelius believed that every human relationship is a training ground for the soul. A relationship reveals impatience, ego, fear, attachment, and also kindness, discipline, and courage. In an age gap relationship, these traits surface faster and more clearly. The younger man may be forced to confront his impulsiveness. The older woman may be forced to confront her need for control or reassurance. Love begins only when both are willing to see these flaws without blame. Attraction hides flaws. Love studies them calmly. One of the most misunderstood ideas is sacrifice. People think love means giving up parts of yourself. Stoicism rejects this. Marcus Aurelius taught that no external relationship should cost you your inner integrity. An older woman should not shrink her wisdom to appear less intimidating. A younger man should not suppress his ambition to avoid conflict. Real love does not demand self-betrayal. It demands self-respect. When either person begins to lose themselves, attraction has taken over. There is also the question of leadership within the relationship. Society often assumes the older partner leads and the younger follows. Stoicism dissolves this illusion. Leadership shifts based on situation, not age. One may lead in emotional regulation, the other in adaptability or vision. Marcus Aurelius himself learned from teachers older and younger than him. Wisdom is not owned by age. It is earned through reflection. A healthy relationship allows influence to flow both ways. Another Stoic principle is acceptance of limits. Love does not pretend differences do not exist. It acknowledges them without resentment. Energy levels, social preferences, long-term timelines, and personal goals may not always align perfectly. Attraction avoids these truths. Love faces them with maturity. Marcus Aurelius wrote that peace comes not from wanting things to happen as we wish, but from wishing them to happen as they do. In relationships, this means loving the person as they are, not as a projection. The question of permanence returns here, but with wisdom. A Stoic does not cling, yet does not dismiss. If a relationship lasts, it is received with gratitude. If it ends, it is released without hatred. This is not emotional coldness, it is emotional strength. An older woman and a younger man who love each other stoically do not use fear of loss as motivation. They use presence. Attraction clings to future promises. Love honors the present fully. Marcus Aurelius also warned against emotional drama disguised as passion. Intensity is not depth. Loud emotions are not proof of truth. Many relationships feel powerful because they are unstable. Stoicism values calm strength. A relationship that feels safe, respectful, and steady may look boring to outsiders, but it nourishes the soul. If an age-gap relationship creates more peace than chaos, it has already passed an important test. There is wisdom in asking how each person treats the other's dignity. Does the younger man respect the older woman's experience without idolizing it? Does the older woman respect the younger man's potential without shaping it to her comfort? Love does not parent, rescue, or dominate. Attraction often does these things unconsciously. Marcus Aurelius believed that every human deserves to be treated as an end, not a means. Over time, love becomes less about emotion and more about alignment. Shared values matter more than shared timelines. Honesty matters more than excitement. Character matters more than chemistry. This is why some relationships with perfect age matching fail, while unconventional ones endure. Stoicism reminds us that nature does not follow social scripts. It follows truth. The final clarity is simple but demanding. If an older woman and a younger man choose each other out of awareness, not fear, out of respect, not fantasy, out of growth, not escape, then what they have is love, regardless of how uncomfortable it makes others. If they avoid self-examination, rely on validation, or use each other to fill inner emptiness, then it is attraction, no matter how intense it feels. Marcus Aurelius believed that the highest form of love is goodwill guided by reason. It wishes the good of the other without possession. It acts with justice, patience, and courage. It does not need applause. It does not argue with ignorance. It simply lives well. In this light, the question, love or just attraction, answers itself through daily action. The world will continue to judge. That is its nature. But Stoicism teaches us that peace comes from living truthfully, not defensively. An older woman and a younger man who understand this do not fight the world. They focus on their conduct. They let time reveal what is real. In the end, love is not proven by age, duration, or public approval. It is proven by how two people make each other more grounded, more honest, and more humane. Attraction excites the senses. Love disciplines the soul. Marcus Aurelius would not be impressed by intensity. He would be impressed by steadiness. And that is the quiet difference that only the wise can see. In a world full of fast opinions and shallow advice, choosing to reflect is a powerful act. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we become what we repeatedly think about. If this video added value to your thinking, take a moment to like it. If it challenged a belief you once held, share it with others who are open to reflection. And subscribe to this channel if you want more timeless Stoic insights applied to modern life. Wisdom doesn't shout, it waits for those willing to listen.